Alright, this is a GenPro 9000 watt brushless generator. This actually was a freebie. This is a co-worker of my wife who knows that I like to tinker with this kind of stuff. Had mentioned how their generator had stopped working and that I guess they had somebody who claimed to be a generator mechanic come over to the house, charge them initially for the house call and diagnosis, told them that it needed a part called a capacitor and that he would order the capacitor and come back and put it in. So they paid him for the work he did that day and the travel charge out there, and at that point he didn't come back. And after one phone call when he was supposed to come back and didn't show up, he said, oh, the part didn't come in. But rather than call them and let them know that he wasn't going to come out that day because the part hadn't come in, he just didn't do anything till they called him wondering where he was later that day. So that was the first thing he did wrong. And the second thing he did wrong was he said, well, I'll be out in another week. So another week comes and goes and he doesn't show up when he's supposed to show up with the part and replace it. And after several phone calls where all they got was answering machine and left messages and him not returning phone calls, they finally gave up and bought a brand new generator. So they said basically that if I wanted to come and get it, I could have it. And all I know about it is that the engine apparently runs fine. The homeowner had explained to me when I picked it up that there was a minor oil leak when it runs on the engine. And he just kept the drip pan underneath the engine when it would run. And he said basically the engine runs fine, but it just won't make electricity any longer, which is a common occurrence on these generators. Now, what I know about these generators basically is what I learned by watching YouTube videos. So it's not much, but I do know some of the basic principles of operation. I have, a basic grasp of electrical and electronic theory and also of gasoline engines. So I think I could probably limp my way through diagnosing this thing and figuring out whether or not it's worth it to do anything with it, or is it just a big lump of metal. Well, I mean, it's obviously not that. I mean, it's got a good running V-twin engine in it. I mean, it's got the Briggs & Stratton Vanguard 16 horsepower V-twin overhead valve engine. So my understanding is this is actually a decent motor. 16 horse, it's no slouch. Would make a heck of a motor for a log splitter or something like that. But for right now, we're going to see if we can't get this generator working. So I've never heard of this, but then again, I never heard of this brand, but then again, I don't work on generators for a living. So this is a GenPro 9000 watt. I think I did find out who actually makes this thing, and did find some wiring diagrams online, but unfortunately they must be for newer models. So I guess there's two basic, let's see if this says anything here. Well, proudly made in the USA. I think a lot of these generators are proudly made in the USA just because they weigh so much. When you have to ship them overseas from Taiwan, you lose a lot of that profit. Anyways, my understanding is that there's two basic designs of portable generators. There's the brushless and the ones that have brushes. Now, this proudly proclaims that this is a brushless generator, which sounds great. When you think about it, you think, wow, okay, so what they're saying is there are no brushes to wear out on this generator. And initially you would think that must mean it's better. But from what I understand, the problem with the brushless generator is that most of these cheaper brushless units have very poor regulation. So what happens is if for some reason the governor causes the engine to surge or do something like that, your voltage is going to waver quite a bit with that fluctuation in RPM. Whereas the other style of generator, the ones with brushes in them, tend to have a component in there, I believe, called a AVR, which I think stands for automatic voltage regulator, which is an expensive component that when it blows out, it can be expensive to replace. not as expensive as the starter windings, or stator windings, but the part's a lot more expensive than the capacitor that's probably bad in this one, or if that guy was right, who knows. So the homeowner said that the ones with the AVRs are better at regulating the output of the voltage, so they give a more clean regulated power source. At least that's my understanding of it. But I'm going to digress from that, because like I said, what I know about the actual generator technology itself is minimal. So the homeowner says he thinks that he recalls that the guy had opened this up, and he believes this is where he had taken the part that he called the capacitor out and said that he was going to get a new one. And the wife had called and left a message when the guy failed to return phone calls, and finally said, look, if you're not going to come back and fix it, I at least want my old part back. Now, he's not coming back with the old part. He gave up. The best that they can do now, all they can do now is basically give this guy a bad rep by telling everybody the story that they told me about it. So anyways, there's only 4 screws that hold on. Oops. There's only 4 screws that hold on the side here. You can see right away already that there's a screw over here that doesn't match. Well, actually we got 1, 2. You got 4 screws that hold this cover on, and all 4 of them are different. Gotta love that.
Daddy.
Yeah, what's up?
You can have the rest of my tractor jack.
I don't want any. Peter offered me his. I passed on. You can eat them. Why?
I don't really like them.
You don't like them?
Yeah.
Peter, you want the rest of his Cracker Jacks? Well, just leave them here. Maybe I'll have them for a snack.
May I ride the 70, please?
Yeah, just don't beat on it too much. You're getting a little heavy for it. We'll let him take this apart then.
What is it going to take apart?
Well, I'm just going to have him open this up. We're going to take a look inside, see if we can't figure out what parts are missing.
I want to do it so I can be part of the video on the YouTube channel.
Really? He wants to be part of the video on YouTube. Wants to be a YouTube celebrity. All I got to warn you, Peter, if you appear in one of my videos, there's a possibility that as many as 5 or 6 people might actually see you in the video. I get that many views.
I'll ride the 70.
I don't blame you. All right. Oh, careful. I don't know what's in there.
Oh, come on.
It will. A little bit of pulling. Now, there we go. So, this design is very, very basic. There's like nothing in here. We've got 2 circuit breakers here. We've got a switch. It's a double pull, double throw switch. We've got the outlets. And then what was in this rubber cup right here and had these 2 wires going to it would be the generator. I mean, the generator. Did you hear what I just said? The capacitor. So the component that's missing is the capacitor. And there would have been a screw here that this guy took the screw out and didn't even bother leaving us the screw. At least he left the clamp. But the one problem is that now we have absolutely no idea what the value of that capacitor was. Capacitors have 2 values you have to be concerned with: the voltage, the working voltage, and the actual capacitance, which is measured in farads. But typically, it's going to be a value called microfarads. Micro being 10 to the negative 6th power, which you basically end up moving your you move your decimal point over 6 places to the right, left, I forget, doesn't matter, right? Right. So 1 microfarad is 0.000001 farads. Got it? Good. That'll get you through life. All right. On a lot of these units, this capacitor is actually located in the back here where the brushes are. But on this unit, they actually route the wires and have the capacitor stored inside this cabinet right here. So the bad news is that the parts are completely missing. The good news is that now I know. I think I'll go get a couple of little thanks. I think I'll go get a couple of little wire caps, wire nuts, and we'll cap off these wires, and we'll put this cover back on, and we'll start the engine and see how the engine runs.
We have some in the barn.
We have some in the basement. Alright, so I got a couple little wire nuts here and that. I'll put these on. And that's just so these wires don't end up accidentally touching each other or touching the case, which probably is ground, shorting something out. Wish there was a diagram or something in there, or something that would better tell us something about this generator, but there isn't. You don't have to tighten them really tight. All right, is the cover all back on? All right, let's try and run this thing. So the key goes here. That's on. All right, so this is a choke. Pull up, start pushing to run. Good sounding, nice smooth running engine. The other thing about a cheap generator like this, unfortunately this has no auto idle control. Auto idle is nice because you notice that this thing is running basically at the rated RPM for the full output of the generator, and there's no load on it. And unlike my Makita generator, which is a higher quality generator even though it's smaller, that generator there, when there's no load on it, the engine just sits there idling, and then when you put a load on it, it automatically kicks up the RPMs. So that's nice because you don't have to hear the thing running at full blast constantly. But it does seem like it's a good running one. Just curious how easy this is to pull. So this motor must definitely have some sort of an automatic compression release system, because otherwise it wouldn't be that easy to pull it over. Alright, so until I source a capacitor for this thing, I guess it's going to just go into storage. Well, my son decided he wanted to know whether or not this would start after sitting all winter and not having been used. So this is my Makita. Just took the tarp off it. It's all covered with cobwebs and everything. Battery's going to be dead, so the electric start's definitely not going to work. I don't know, I'll be kind of surprised if this thing starts without needing a carb cleaning or something, but you want to give it a try. So, auto idle off, power's off. Yeah, it's definitely not going to start. Choke's on. Oh, it sounds like there's some acorns in there. Oh, there's a shock. Oh, it doesn't have any gas in it.
I'll go get one.
Alright, I put a little bit of gas in there. I don't want to waste too much gas in this thing. Got better things to do with my time than pull apart a carburetor again. I don't feel like bothering with this thing right now.
Maybe this battery works.
Huh? Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Dad, remember me to pick up Mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna quit. All right, Aiden, go ahead.
Daddy, why did you get Cracker Jacks?
I want to try.
Go ahead. I think everybody should get a try. The choke's pulled out.
No, can I be next?
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
That's not gonna work.
No,
Ooh, that was close.
that wasn't close. That's just an acorn falling into something.
Daddy, can I do it?
I don't even know if you're strong enough to do it, Mark.
I'll have to try. Can I please try?
Go ahead, try.
Come on, Mark.
Not quite ready, Mark.
Really, Peter?
Really what? What, do you want another try, Aiden?
Yeah.
All right, one more pull. That's it. All right. Go ahead, Aiden. No, this...
Done.
We'll only run with the choke all the way on, which means the carburetor's clogged. The jet in the carburetor is blocked. Yeah. Bad gas. The gas gets stale and it gums up the carburetor.
So were you expecting to start that?
No, I actually didn't think it was going to start.
It was all of us. I did it like 7 people.
Yeah, you that last pull you did, that's really the one that broke it free. That actually sounds pretty good. It's too bad that the choke is on.
Now we have 2 working ones.
Well, sort of.
The one in there. Daddy. I'm the one in
So
there.
when I push it in like that, that should stay running.
Can I try, please?
Try what?
What?
That's it.
Aiden, no. Can I do it?
Go ahead.
What the heck? The key's not on.
I didn't touch it. All right, go ahead. Whatever you want to do.
The choke's not on.
Right.
Where is it?
Daddy, is it?
How do you make it work? Alright, so tell me how to do it.
Pull it out.
Pull it out, yeah.
Yeah. And then once it starts, you're supposed to push it in after it warms up. But when you push it in, it stalls. Go ahead. I like how it keeps spitting acorns and stuff out of there. Tough. Why are you hitting that? Why are you kicking that tripod with your leg there? I just pushed it in now, so now it's gonna... Oh, it's getting a little better.
Got wheel it back.
First, we have to shut the key off.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut the fuel off too.
Yeah, carburetor needs to be cleaned on this, definitely.
That's what's wrong with it.
Wheel it back.
You think you're man enough?
Help!